So what we're after here is anytime I'm thinking longevity, I'm thinking primarily absolute force and power has to be preserved. And this is a fast twitch fiber atrophy issue. This is a target. So these are the things spinning in my head. So how is this 3-day-a-week combination going to look? Okay.
And sorry, just to make sure we translate that, Andy, because I think that was so important what you just said. You're basically looking, I'm 50, and you're looking down the barrel of my life saying you want to live another 40 years and you want to be functioning. The most important thing I can do for you in the gym is not focus on the things that you're going to get for free. It's focus on the things that are declining so rapidly. And I will, as a corollary to that, get a bunch of that other stuff for free. But I have to focus on the atrophy of your fast twitch muscle fibers because it's already happening and we need to stave that off. And we need to put in the gym systems to support the reversal of that process. Because if I just ignore that, I might as well be that highly exercised twin guy who's, doing all his cardio. But at the end of the day, he can't jump off the curb. He can't, he's going to be the hypercardio athlete who's still a decrepit person in the last decade of their life.
To make it even better or worse, those fibers require specific types of training. Unless you specifically do that, you just don't have any chance of those tissues. The other tissues aren't as like hypertrophy. Hypertrophy is pretty non-specific in terms of your training application. But if you want to make sure that you're targeting fast twitch fibers, like this requires very specific protocols, or like you have no chance. Slow twitch fibers are going to get activated with any activity of daily living. They're going to get activated with any amount of physical strain, whether you're doing intervals, zone 2, zone 6, that doesn't matter, right? Zone 28, pick whatever you want. Slow twitch are good. It's the fast twitch fibers that require intention. And that's why I make such a big deal of it, because you can't accidentally get those.
Yep, that's right.
It's sort of like what we say in fighting is like, you can sometimes accidentally knock somebody out. There are fluke punches. There are no accidental submissions. Like there's no fluke arm bars. Mm-hmm. Like you have to know what you're doing there or not.
Yep.
So coming back to our avatar.
By the way, I love that line because I often say that to especially my female patients who are completely untrained, borderlining on cachectic, afraid of lifting weights. They just want to do yoga all day. And when I say, look, we have a problem here. You're osteopenic, and you're so weak. I am worried for your life. And they say, I just don't want to lift weights because I just don't want to get too big. And it's like, I have good news for you. The myth of accidental muscle has been fully debunked.
Fully.
Me and every other guy out there can tell you we're waiting for it to happen. It hasn't happened. The odds that you're going to wake up and think, God damn it, I'm too muscular. It just won't happen.
The vast majority of us sitting around hoping and praying and devoting most of our waking hours and non-waking hours to this goal that you think might accidentally happen. You're good. Yeah. You're totally safe here. All right. So we know we have to preserve fast twitch muscle fibers for the long term. We know we have to take care of VO2 max. This is another, I'm sure you covered this in depth, important thing for longevity.
Yep.
All right. But we got some constraints. We also have to be considerate of, I have not trained in 10 years. I'm going to get very sore very quickly. And if I become too sore that it dissuades further training, now I'm going to lose you. I bought in, but that shit was too hard. I was so sore, I couldn't even walk. Blah, 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 right? I think in your show with Holly, she talked about making sure you start with a very low volume, like way lower volume than you think.
Yep.
We have time. Like we just need to move. I'm going to be very cautious of eccentric movements because they will generate more soreness than relative. And the last part, before I give you some direct answers, is we want to start building movement patterns that we're going to need over time. And so this is an investment. We can get all that done by doing the same sort of training. where we're practicing movement patterns. We're getting that stuff grooved so we don't pick up injuries later. We're not getting excessively sore. We're building some muscle mass because we're going to get that anyways, and we don't need that. So if this was a 6-month program, because you can't write the same program for the next 50 years, right? What's the first 6 months, I guess, is if that's your question.
Yep.
All right. Zone 2 is out of the way. I would probably stick to fairly similar to what Holly said initially, which was, okay, something like 1 to 3 working sets of probably 4 exercises a day, something like that. We want to spread those across upper, lower, and kind of some different movement patterns. And we want to practice the compound movements. I'm not going to isolated single joint movements yet. I'm going to, let's learn how to do a goblet squat. Okay, this is a squat. You're going to hold the dumbbell sort of in front of your chest. Great. We're going to learn to do a hip extension. We're going to learn to do a basic overhead press or some bent rows, things like that. And I'm going to spend 30 minutes on those things. I don't even really care about tracking progression at this point. We're going to track, did you get the movement pattern down right? Did you brace? Is our spine in the proper position? Are you breathing through your nose and through proper positions? Is your neck in the right spot? Great. All this foundational stuff that feels like not a big deal at all right now, because it shouldn't be. But we're making sure boxes are checked so that when we start progressing load later, that neck doesn't start getting irritated. We're just being in that position. We're going to do that, right?
Okay, so we're basically completely optimizing movement patterns. We're making sure we don't hurt ourselves. We're learning new skills, right? We're learning skills of exercise. Let's now go to the next 6 months. So I come back to you, Andy, and I say, this has been great. Like, this is not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I've kind of enjoyed going to the gym, and honestly, like, I even see a little more definition in my arms and my legs, and I'm a little hungrier. So I've been eating a little bit more. I haven't lost any weight or anything, but my pants fit a little bit better. I'd like to take this up a notch. I can't commit more time though, Andy. So I'm really kind of, 3 60-minute spots is all I can get, because I still got to, get my kids from school, and work is just as demanding as ever. But how do I increase the desire to be even bigger and even stronger and even more functional?
Great. So now we have to start investing that 60 minutes in the 3 workouts into different sections per workout. So we need to start doing something to start addressing power and speed. I'm going to give that the first 10 to 15 minutes though. We don't need to go nuts now, but we need to introduce those movement patterns and those velocities and that tissue tolerance, what we call it. So your ability to land and absorb. It's not creation of power, but it's the back end. How did I stop that movement? How did I land from it? We're going to continue to invest in the muscle growth. I mean, now we can start pushing the pace a little bit. And then we're going to actually, at the end, start investing in either muscular endurance and or interval stuff. So if we're still continuing to do zone 2, that's great, but we haven't worked on getting heart rate up, coming back down and regulating that whole piece. So what's that look like? The first 10 or so minutes of all 3 workouts per week, we're going to do something in basic movement patterns. So let's imagine a box jump, right? We'll do a box jump. We're going to jump from the ground and land on a box that's, say, 18 inches in the air, right? We're going to practice that movement pattern. I want you landing on the box, not on the ground. That reduces the eccentric landing because you're going to be absorbing way less. So you're not going to get as sore, but you're going to have to pop a little bit. You're going to have to jump to get up there. And we're bracing that movement pattern. I'm going to probably do something.
How are you determining that height, Andy? 18 inches seems really high to me. How do I know if I shouldn't be 12 to start? What level of fatigue? How many times would I do this so that I can gauge how high it needs to be?
There should be no fatigue. This is simply about high.
This is load
power
tolerance.
Production.
This is load tolerance then?
Load tolerance, and it's introducing power.
Okay. So
you're going to start learning how to move fast, but you're going to do it in a safe thing where you're not going to pull a hamstring.
And just to be clear, Andy, I don't need to compete in sports. I don't play basketball anymore. I'm not. Are you sure you need me doing this? Because all I'm trying to do is I just want to be able to pick up my grandkids in 30 years or 20 years.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
So in order to pick up your grandkids, you need to not be in the hospital, right? You need to be not living in an assisted living home. Do you know what puts people in an assisted living home? falling and breaking a hip. The connection between morbidity and mortality with a hip break is extraordinary after the age of 60. It's not even 90, it is 60-ish. Large reason people fall is they actually don't have foot speed. What do you mean? If you catch your toe on the corner or you slip, you have to have the foot speed to be able to put your other foot or that foot back out in front of you in the proper position. Then you have to have the eccentric strength to stop that fall. And so I need foot speed to get there, and then I need eccentric strength to brace the fall so you don't land and break your hip. That's what's going to keep you playing with your kids when you're 60.
Got it.